What is up, guys? Wraec is here with a new video, and today I want to comment a little bit and tell you guys my opinion about those B- Awakening Resonance Crystals that were introduced to the Card Clash event recently, because that is kind of an interesting topic. But before we do that, I want to take a few minutes to actually, well, celebrate a bit of an achievement that just basically ended, because this season I managed to win against Jesus, and while Jesus didn't really set up a team, he actually forgot about it. This still marks an achievement that I find is quite remarkable, because Jesus has actually won IDA for quite a long time. I scrolled back and I tried to find the last season where he didn't get the champion title, and this season was season 33. Keep in mind, right now we have season 57, so we ended his streak basically exactly on the 2-year mark, and that I think is quite insane. I mean, through all the RNG that you can have, through everything that there is, through just some bad stuff that can happen, everybody that participated in Battle of the Best knows you get the worst RNG at the worst time. It is always the case. And through all of this, he managed to succeed and get like nearly a 2-year streak right now. And I think to celebrate this a little bit, we want to go back into season 34. So basically the start of this streak, and take a look at the final fight. Check it out for a second. Won't take very long, but I just want to show you guys this was it with the other frame, of course, the other Black Friday frame. We see a lot of OP people here as well. Ragnaru still in pillars, which is kind of funny. We have Atoria still here. Daiko, of course. At that time, he was always in the top leaderboards. We can see Mont losing. That is always a sight to behold. I like it. And then we have Jesus is here in the final fight, actually against GT. And the funny thing is, if he beat me, that could have very well happened again in this season, because GT is also in this group. We already had the tree at this point. We didn't have DT, we didn't have X levels, we didn't have a lot of this stuff, and of course the variety of heroes was a bit limited. We have SQH, we have MFF, we have Ferric and Vessel, which were basically the only real support heroes at that time, and he combined that for a team that basically dealt a lot of damage. At this time, however, we already had Star Alchemist Holmes Young's teams. They were already common there, and this is exactly what he was fighting. If you don't know what the Star Alchemist Holmes Young team is, because he's, well, not that much in the meta anymore, actually. Basically, this team relied on his perceptual disorder to CC the enemy, and used LDA to kill the enemy, to kill the opponent with damage over time. LDA reducing the effect of being healed, and then your team would slowly die to this, and you couldn't get through the armor. And that was quite a team that I thought was very, very annoying. And Jesus fights this with a lot of power. Gets a bit lucky here, I have to say, because one thing happened to the GT that is quite unfortunate. His Azrael died in the fight before. And Azrael is, of course, a hero that can revive, but doesn't revive between rounds. So if he dies in one fight, isn't alive at the end of it, then he's gone. And that severely weakens this team. But you can see how little damage this Star Alchemist Holmes Young really takes. And back in the day, he was an absolute monster. And I still think it's a bug. And we had quite a lot of discussions about this. But yeah, it's quite interesting. Jesus already, though, with a ton of copies, with a ton of S tiers, really. And back then, nobody really had S tiers. And so that is quite insane. That is really quite insane. I mean, many of those copies are now pretty rare, actually. I mean, you wouldn't see an SS SFX right now. You don't see that on the auction house. SS Ferric Investor has become rather rare. MFF, of course, is insane, and I guess for all of those copies you could now score top prices. See how long this takes. Basically only 2 heroes on the board, and this Star Alchemist Holmes Young still being a menace. But Jesus is super tanky, because he has very high stats in comparison, so that is really what saves him there. And yeah, so this was the start of this 2-year journey that Jesus took to win IDA champ. We have to say that before season 33, he already won a lot, but this was really the start. I thought we celebrate this now for this occasion a little bit by showing this fight. So GG to Jesus for achieving this, and let's get into the topic of this video. I hope this wasn't a problem that I showed that for you guys, but I really wanted to show it. So basically, what we want to talk about today is the Awakening Resonance Crystal B-. We will also use them, by the way, and this item is basically the core that we already know. We have the same one here in the inventory. We have an Awakening Resonance Crystal B. The difference between those two is that the copy I get from this crystal, I can sell it on the auction house. I can put it on the auction house, sell it for starry gems. The copy I get from this one can't be sold on the auction house. It will have this little hammer symbol on it and will not be available to be sold on the auction house. It's blocked from that. So this is in their way of, well, limiting the value of this item in a certain manner. We weren't really told the reason for it. The thing that I assume is that they wanted to keep starry gem farmers at bay and wanted to introduce crystals that you can earn as a reward, maybe even on some lower stages, but that won't, that at the same time won't be abused by starry gem farmers to farm more starry gems. So in that regard, I understand that they did this. At the same time, in Crystal Clash, they put those Awakening Crystals at a point that is not reachable as free-to-play unless you spend Contract Starry to get extra cards. So they didn't really make this available for free-to-play. They put it in for spenders, really, and then said, okay, but you can't sell it on the auction house. So it's a severely limited B- score, and I thought, well, B-, in my opinion, is still a value that I think would be appreciated by free-to-play, but isn't really like the super endgame thing you strive for. You take it, you say, okay, maybe it's for like a copy that's not my main hero, and I aim for something better, because you can get very good copies very cheap, especially at B tier in the auction house. I think we will just try this thing out now. I have some IHP copies where I definitely would like to destroy my account by getting now an SSS tier from this B- core that I'm then unable to sell on the auction house. Thanks for that. And they put this warning in here. Heroes who use bound items to awaken cannot be put in the auction house. Bound items, interestingly enough, so already kind of showing the intent to introduce more of them. We can compare the stats here. It's the same, so it's the same RNG. You are super unlikely to get an A- from that. 1 in 333, so like it's not something you would want to aim for to get this. It is just like an item that, I mean, you can be kind of happy to get it. It is, you get like a B- copy at least. Even though I would have hoped they introduce it with some higher tiers, which they might in the future. So let's watch this awakening now. It says again, bound item. Heroes use bound items to awaken cannot be put in the auction house. So they displayed it quite a lot. Let's see what we get. That is green. That is also green, and that is our classical B-, really. Nothing too spectacular here. It is not yet displayed. We can check it out in my inventory. No, that is not my inventory. That is my inventory. And where is it? There it is. And you can see there the symbol is displayed. So even in future, if you do a screenshot, this will be there. Adding to these certain bit of spam that is already there, because we have like a ton of symbols actually on those heroes. Now with a pretty big symbol for the hammer there. I don't know. Is a bit weird. I wonder if there wasn't a better solution for this. But this is what they chose. Could have just probably gone like with some other thing. But it's not my decision right now. We have this in the game. I'm a bit afraid of it, I'll be honest. I on the one hand see that it has a certain value, that it is great potentially for free-to-play and low spenders if the age decides to put those cores at achievable positions and says, okay, you can get a B tier here with relative ease, and you are able to click this and to summon this B tier and have this B tier just to use on your account. This is kind of nice, of course. On the other hand, I fear they might use this on stages where we formerly had other rewards that were better, and might use this, for example, in Awakening Session. If they put this in the Awakening Session and limit the quality of the cores there, that would be kind of devastating. At the higher stages, if you get like an S tier, SS tier, SSS tier, I would think it's completely unacceptable if they put those bound items in there. I don't think that is okay in any way. You should be able to sell those copies. No question about it. Beyond that, I fear they might just put them in the early stages. That they say, okay, we put them in these stages farmers really aim for, which is the lowest bracket, really. Where they first put B- cores in, I fear they might now say, okay, we upgrade the loot, we put B core back, but B core, bound item. And I think that is still kind of horrible because many people, if you are like a normal player and you high roll from your B core that you got from there, and you got like an S tier, that was formerly a great thing. And I saw many people be very happy. They often get like private messages from people that say, okay, I got like this SS tier from my B core, and it's such a great thing because now I'm able to sell this and get some starry gems from it. I saw one guy even on my server. Did I forget the core? Yes, it's okay. I was a bit confused there. That's okay. We have another one. Let's go. I saw one guy on my server. He summoned like, I think it was an SS style Young. He sold that. And he got his family, I think it was a trip to Disneyland, and he got himself like an A tier, a few A tiers for his account. So such a great thing from the account from just a free summon. So I think that is like was like really, really great. And now basically putting that away, I kind of hate it. And it's always the thing about that it's bad if the solution for your problem is basically to fight your customer. So you should never do that. If they want to get rid of starry farmers, they should find a solution that doesn't harm the normal customers, the normal players in any way. Because that is just bad. Every time they did this, and I use one example for this, the Awakening session, where they nerfed it to B- just to limit the amount of starry gems farmers can farm. Players hate this. They hate this, they take it as disrespect, and they quit. And DH seemingly hasn't understood that this is the case. And I really don't like that. I really don't like that. I think it's a horrible way they deal with such issues, and it always has backfired in the past. So another area where I fear we might see some problems is in the Black Friday event. We have the upcoming Black Friday event, and in this Black Friday event, there will once again probably be a shop that is offers rewards for you depending on your VIP level. And there was a lot of B+ scores last time in there. A lot of value actually for the players. I think you got like 13 B+ scores for a lot of people that just straight up gave them an A- if they had a high VIP level. That was pretty cool. And honestly, this time around, I expect them to put an A- score in there. That is just my expectation for this. I expect them to put an A- score in there. I think we're now at the point where a minus is so common that this is no longer really a problem. But I certainly fear they might do exactly that and put bound items in there and just do bound items everywhere now and block the auction house away. And it is such a weird way also at this point to control the game. And I certainly understand if you put like at some points in the game, like as an early reward, and you have a B core in there and you don't want it to go to the auction house, so you limit this B core's viability to go on the auction house and limit its value. And at the same time, you can profit for your own gameplay from it. But if you put it at like the top spots and the spots that are meant to reward players, you kind of end the auction house. And I can understand that the H is like not a big fan of their own creation there, but that really doesn't change that it's now in the game and players want to interact with it, and limiting the amount of copies that are in there is already creating a very weird market economy, because we have currently an economy in there of very limited offers, right? If we check out the auction house right now, a lot of players currently have a ton of starry gems. And they would love to spend those starry gems. I always get like private messages, people asking me, would you want to sell me your PDE? And I'm like, no, of course not. Because I can never get the replacement. Oh, that's cool. Is that real? We set the marker. Let me check this out in 5 hours. Maybe I get like an STX. Nah, I mean, that's probably a troll. I take it though. If I would keep it, honestly. Yeah, that would be fun. But beyond that, there's really not much going on in the auction house. We have a total of 4 S tiers here, a few A+ that are pretty expensive, 1 A+ here of the new upcoming Transcendence Hero, and really not much going on. So if you have like 300,000 starry gems and you try to get yourself like a good Star Expedition team, for example, and you want like your PPE, your SQH, your LFA, you kind of have a problem right now. So there is nothing in here. And that is a trend that has been going on. Some heroes are no longer really available. And especially heroes like PDE that I just mentioned at high qualities are just not there. You don't see them on the auction house. I tried to buy an SFX. I wanted an SFX. I didn't want to spend too much. I don't think SFX has a super big value. If you have an SFX, like I think 30 to 40k maybe. The only one I saw was like an SSFX for like 60k, and they were pretty common in the auction house a while ago, and you barely see them anymore. The other hero that I tried to buy and tried to get was LDA, and I haven't seen an LDA in probably like half a year. So we are already limited in our offers on the auction house, and boosting this by making those cores bound, I don't think is really the good way. It's also not really fun in that sense. The next thing about this, of course, really is that, well, eventually you will see those copies now all be stuck on whale accounts. I'm horrible basically for the market right now. I'm hoarding all of those copies. Those are no longer available on the auction house. There are maybe like 3 or something SSS Mogmans. So if you wanted one, and there is one on my account that I just don't use, that really limits trade on the market. And there are a lot of whales doing exactly that and hoarding those copies. They rarely enter the market. And often when they enter the market, they don't enter the market in a way that people can buy them really. You now need connections to buy them. You need, if I sell my Mogman, it will likely be to somebody I know. We will make a deal. I will put it up for a whale inflated price, and then we'll gift some of these star gems back to the buyer that I had. So I often trade high value copies only between people I know, and that is really limiting. So it is really good to have some copies, some high value copies outside of the hands of people like me. Which I don't want to say that I should give all my hero copies away. That is not what I meant by this. But it is good when some people summon them and get them. If it's a star gem farmer, well, it's probably not that good for the game. But then again, they exist, and the Age hasn't yet managed to give copies on the one hand to normal people and not to starry farmers. One approach, little fun fact, they for some time, and I haven't heard this in the last weeks, I think, had the idea that it was a good idea to randomly ban players with Vietnamese IP because they thought, well, there are a lot of farmers there. So they checked if you had a few sub accounts, like the accounts you can switch in between from the same login. And if you had like 3, 5 or even more, then they just banned your account. And I saw some Vietnamese players and they were like, hey, they just banned me for no reason. And then they PM'd them and sent them an email and they said, yeah, for farming. And checked it again and noticed, well, there's no farming going on there. Just because you're Vietnamese. It's like straight up evil. I don't know. Also, a little side note, still the same course and they're horrible. Yeah. But that was just my take on it. I think there's a lot to it. It is a kind of severe change. I think the best outcome for all of this bound stuff would really be if we find those cores available for free-to-play in events as a way to give free-to-play better access to high copy tiers. That is what I would really love to see. Like, as a reward maybe for completing 4 Prophet Orb events, you get a B core, a bound B core. Something like this. That I think would be very, very cool. Just giving players access so that they can click on it and summon like a hero and get like a good tenant or a good main copy for their account. I think that would be pretty cool. Yeah, tell me your opinion about this down below in the comments. Congratulations again for Jesus for this achievement, for getting this nearly 2-year streak. Pretty cool, mate. And I hope you try again and maybe give us another 2-year streak and break your record. But with that, I wish you guys a great day. We'll see us in the next one.